You don't live in the world you think you do.
Jacob, put your clothes on.
Number 10. Bella first sees Edward. Twilight.
Who's he?
That's Edward Cullen. He's totally gorgeous.
Upon release, teenagers everywhere hailed Twilight as a romance for the ages, to which many critics replied, seriously? Bella's relationship with Edward is gawkish from the get-go, and it doesn't get much better from there. Edward bewitches Bella the second he walks through the cafeteria door, sporting a brooding demeanor and a hairdo that makes Jean-Ralphio look subtle. After exchanging blank glances from across the room, they're later paired together in biology. This immediately makes Edward uneasy due to Bella's, enticing stench.
Alright guys, today we are going to be observing the behavior of planaria, aka flatworm.
Love at first sight is one thing, but love at first smell is definitely a weird way to kick off a relationship. The way Edward intensely stares at Bella in silence until the bell rings only adds to the creep factor. Number 9. Jacob is hotter. The Twilight Saga Eclipse. In Eclipse, Bella finds herself in the middle of a bloodthirsty battle.
No, it's fine. I'm okay.
What can I do?
Not the battle of the newborn army. We mean the battle between Team Edward and Team Jacob. When Bella is chilled to the bone while camping, Edward and Jacob are forced to put their heated love triangle aside.
I can't sleep with all that teeth chattering going on.
Since Edward doesn't exactly have the warmest body, a topless Jacob steps up to the plate. This amounts to arguably the funniest line in the movie, although we're not sure if it's funny for the reasons that the writers intended.
I am hotter than you.
Although the guys do briefly bond, Jacob kind of spoils the moment when he tells Edward that even if Bella was out of the picture, he still wouldn't like him.
Well, if you weren't planning on sucking the life out of the girl I love, I might. No. Not even then.
Talk about a cold shoulder. Number 8. Jacob kisses Bella without consent. The Twilight Saga Eclipse. Spelling out his feelings, as if they weren't obvious already, Jacob pleads with Bella to choose him.
And you need to know that I'm in love with you. And I want you to choose me instead of him.
Although Bella makes it clear that she loves Edward, Jacob won't take no for an answer and forces a kiss. This scene was uncomfortable back in 2010, and viewing it through a modern lens, Jacob's actions really haven't aged well. Bella rightfully responds by punching Jacob in the face. This might be an empowering moment for Bella, if it didn't break her hand. We know werewolves have enhanced strength, but is Jacob's skull made of titanium? Either that, or Bella needs a lot more calcium in her diet. The only thing more cringe-inducing than the scene itself is listening to Jacob recount what happened to a dazed Charlie.
I kissed Bella. And she broke her hand, punching my face. Total misunderstanding.
Number 7. Bella and Edward's Wedding. The Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 1. If you never got into Twilight, chances are you weren't especially ecstatic when Bella and Edward's wedding day finally came.
Just don't let me fall with that.
Never.
The same can be said about Bella herself, as an equally discomforted Charlie walks his daughter down the aisle. Granted, Bella always had reservations about this wedding. Still, she looks less like someone who's about to get married and more like Mike when he got sick at the movies.
Okay, I think I'm gonna stop.
Bella does lighten up when she sees Edward, but have you ever listened closely to the song in the background? Of all the songs to play at a wedding, even if it's significant, why choose one with the lyrics, "Now I'm a fat house cat"? Luckily, they didn't get to the verse about poison rats pissing on magazine photos.
I'm a fat house
Number 6. Jacob reveals his true nature to Charlie. The Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 2. We're just gonna say it. Charlie totally stole the show in these movies. And that's mainly thanks to actor Billy Burke's priceless reaction shots.
Look, in order for Bella to get better, she had to change.
Charlie's most memorable moment comes in the final film when Jacob introduces him to the supernatural world. Being Jacob, this of course involves taking his shirt off.
Here goes nothing.
What the hell are you doing?
When Charlie woke up that morning, we doubt he expected his daughter's sort of ex-boyfriend to strip down in front of him. How can you not crack up when Charlie matter-of-factly tells Jacob to put some clothes on?
Jacob, put your clothes on.
Even more surreal than Jacob's striptease is when he turns into a werewolf in front of Charlie. This scene isn't helped by the terrible CGI, but we dare you not to smile at Charlie's startled response. Number 5. Bella, Edward, and the Bed. The Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 1.
You're so beautiful.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with waiting until marriage. But this can amount to an awkward honeymoon, especially when the bride is a human and the groom is a vampire. After skinny dipping on a moonlit night, Bella and Edward take things into the bedroom. Edward doesn't know his own strength, however, and destroys the bed's headboard. While this would normally be enough to kill the mood, Bella and Edward carry on anyway, only for the scene to cut to black. We weren't expecting much from a PG-13 rating, but for a moment that had been built up for almost 3 years, this was a pretty unsatisfying climax. Then again, given the state of the bed, maybe we should be grateful that the deed occurred off-screen? Number 4. The Wolves Start Talking. The Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 1.
Dangerous monstrosity and abomination on our land. We can't relax.
As mentioned before, few would use words like state-of-the-art to describe the special effects in these movies, particularly when it comes to the CGI wolves. Just when you think that the wolves can't possibly get any sillier, just listen.
We have to protect the tribe. What they've bred won't be able to control its thirst. Every human will be in danger.
Keep in mind that this is the 4th Twilight movie, and up until this point, we've never heard the wolves talk to each other like this.
You mean kill Bella? Her choice affects us all.
Not only is this moment jarring, but it's unintentionally hilarious. The voice actors all try way too hard to sound tough, and the over-the-top sound effects make matters infinitely more laughable.
Bella's human. Our protection applies to her. She's dying anyway!
The goofiest part is that the wolves communicate telepathically, meaning their dialogue doesn't sync up with their mouth movements.
You will fight with us, Jake.
What is this, the gritty reboot of Homeward Bound?
Remember hot dogs?
Yeah. Never much like the name.
Well, I don't think they're really made out of dog.
I don't think they're made of meat.
Number 3. Sparkle, Sparkle, Sparkle. Twilight.
You need to see what I look like in the sunlight.
One of the biggest problems people have with Twilight is that it ignores most of the characteristics vampires traditionally have in folklore.
This is why we don't show ourselves in sunlight. People would know we're different.
Instead, Stephanie Meyer made up several traits that many would argue are, well, lamer than anything we'd ever associate with Dracula. A key example is when Edward and Bella find the only glimmer of sunlight in the dreary woods. Stepping into the light, Edward shows Bella what he really is, the human incarnation of a disco ball. We mean vampire.
It's like diamonds. You're beautiful.
The cringy imagery is complemented by some of the franchise's worst dialogue.
This is the skin of a killer, Bella.
Plus, when you put the words Twilight and Sparkle together, all anyone is going to think about is My Little Pony. But even that franchise doesn't have glittering vampires.
These vampire bats are nothing but a bunch of monsters.
Monsters?
Number 2. Renesmee. The Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 2.
I was playing around with our moms' names. Renee and Esme. And I was thinking, Renesmee.
The closest Twilight ever comes to legitimate horror territory is when Bella gives birth to her daughter, who sadly must go through life with the name Renesmee.
Beautiful.
As difficult as the birthing scene is to watch, it's what comes after that gets under our skin. Now a vampire, Bella awakens to find her baby happy, healthy, and 100% CGI. It's hard to get invested when Renesmee looks like a reject from Super Baby's Baby Geniuses 2. Wouldn't it have been that hard to just get a real baby? As if the scene wasn't tonally confused enough, Bella rips into Jacob after finding out that he's imprinted on Renesmee and given her a nickname.
You imprinted on my daughter?
It wasn't my choice.
She's a baby!
This amounts to both the worst and most amazing line in the movie.
Nessie? You nicknamed my daughter after the Loch Ness Monster?
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few dishonorable mentions. Arrow's Laugh, The Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 2. Michael Sheen is clearly doing whatever he wants here.
Immortality becomes you.
Jacob imprints on Renesmee, The Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 1. Edward got the girl, but Jacob got his daughter.
It's like gravity. Your whole center shifts.
Bella and Jacob in the Rain, The Twilight Saga New Moon. We miss Jacob's long hair.
Jake! Hey! You cut your hair off? And got a tattoo?
Keeping it in the family, Twilight. We agree with Jessica. It's weird.
The blonde girl, that's Rosalie, and the big dark-haired guy, Emmett, they're like a thing. I'm not even sure that's legal. Jess, they're not actually related. Yeah, but they live together. It's weird.
Sam imprints on Emily despite being with Leah. The Twilight Saga Eclipse. We guess it's a werewolf thing.
Sam hates himself for hurting Leah. But Emily was the one.
I guess it sort of chooses you sometimes.
It's more than some crush, Bella. Sam imprinted on Emily.
Number 1. Edward watches Bella sleep. Twilight. 2008 was a simpler time when it was considered socially acceptable for a boy to break into a girl's house and watch her sleep.
How did you get in here?
The window.
Do you do that a lot?
Well, just the past couple of months.
Actually, that was never okay. But for some reason, Bella doesn't see a major problem with Edward stalking her at night.
I like watching you sleep. It's kind of fascinating to me.
When Edward tells Bella that he's been doing this for months, it feels more like something out of a psychological thriller than a teen romance. Honestly, if Edward wasn't totally gorgeous, we don't think Bella would find this charming.
Oh, I just want to try one thing. Just stay very still.
We think she'd call the police, or her father, who's a cop. This scene sums up why Twilight is so cringeworthy. Edward's a creeper, Bella has no common sense, and their first kiss should have been one of the many red flags.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.